All right. If you guys haven't watched it though, since we're winding the stream down here with some watching YouTube videos and shit, I highly recommend this series right here, this Diablo University of Power. No, I don't want to do that because I'm covering Don up. Ah,
I've got you covered.
There we go. Anyway, he's got a great set of the Diablo University. Is very good explanations on a bunch of stuff with the game. So go check it out.
But
I'll put the link down below this.
This is really if you want to be efficient. If you just want to enjoy the game and have fun, you really should just enjoy the game, have fun. Probably don't look up any guides, don't do anything like that. Play the difficulty you want to play, all that stuff. Just have fun and enjoy the game. This is pre-season, so it's not even like the season thing going on. There's no leaderboards or anything. It's just all fun. So if
it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they add leaderboards to this, right? I don't know how. And I understand that Blizzard didn't add in set pieces, and that's by design, right? It's by design. It is something that they're not, and frankly, I'm fine with it. Because the thing that bogged us down, or at least bogged me down, and the reason that I was slower to pick up more seasons as Diablo 3 moved on is because every single season it was, all right, what's the top set gear piece? What's the top piece, best in slot? And you go, and the second you have that gear, you're trying to min-max it, then you're climbing leaderboards, which I'm fine with. But it just felt like if you wanted to run anything outside of what was on Icy Veins or Wowhead or any of the fucking sites that you can get these builds off of, right? It moved the equation to zero very quickly on every build. And the second it was a zero-sum game and you were just trying to level up and you're just trying to get to that top 10 spot on the leaderboards, which I'm fine with. I like that race. But I want to do that race. I want to see that race done outside of getting the gear set that everybody else is using and then just lucking out that you had a better time or skilling out that you had a better time, right?
You don't really want to push hard and like rush to end game. You don't have to do that. That said, some people do like being efficient, and so here are my tips for you. Number one, playing on World Tier 1 while you're going through the campaign. I have a whole video about this. I recommend checking that out.
Agree.
And I'm not going to go into the arguments too much.
So to, just quick recap on that, right? You're getting, so the only benefit World Tier 2 gives you is 20% experience on monster kills and 15% more gold. Okay, great. Well, let's think about that logically for just a second. You get, just for argument's sake, every monster you get 100 XP off of in World Tier 1. Every monster you kill in World Tier 2 gives you 120 experience. Okay, great. For a 1-to-1 ratio, you're going to get more experience in World Tier 2. What nobody tells you, though, is, and what Don lays out very neat in his video, and Asmongold actually has a great video where he reacts to what Don's saying, is you have time to kill to consider in there as well, right? TTK. So this monster over here that's only giving you 100, you can kill in 1 second, where this monster over here in World Tier 2 takes you a second and a half to kill. Okay, great. That doesn't, half a second doesn't seem like a lot, but you add that half second up over 3,000 monster kills, right? You have wasted a lot of time in that for only 20% experience. Over top of being able to maintain your 1 second kill through your entire playthrough in World Tier 1 and outpace your World Tier 2 guy. So if you want to be super efficient and you want to race to endgame as fast as possible, World Tier 1's the way to go. If you want to play the game and take your time, I'm still out. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think World Tier 2 is going to make for better content. Asmongold said that. I agree with him. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet.
But basically, there is no loot bonus for killing stuff in World
no
Tier
loot
2,
bonus.
but
No
stuff
loot
is
bonus.
definitely more difficult, which means it's much less likely that you're going to be one-shotting the entire game, especially as the things level up. The whole world levels up with you, so the more powerful you become, well, the more powerful everything else becomes.
Sure.
And so you go from one-shotting everything to two-shotting to taking several hits. And World Tier 1 is just going to be faster in that regard. It means you're always going to be getting more loot. So if you're playing in World Tier 2, you're basically playing with less loot all the time.
Yep.
The number 2 thing is a kind of a build problem that I see a lot of people doing. And this is, you want to make sure that whatever your core skill is, and this could be a core skill or it could be just whatever you're doing the most damage with, that skill going to level up to level 5 when you're going through your passives. So if I'm playing Barbarian here, I might go Lunging Strike, and then go into Rend, and I might just like put 4 points in here. Now at this point, I've unlocked the defensive tree, and I might go pick up Rallying Cry, but just because this part of the tree is like not as deep as this part doesn't mean that this is a bad part of the tree.
Agree completely.
I want to finish getting all of these points.
So I talked to a lot of people who played the beta that were in my party, and they were asking why my damage output was so much better than theirs. And we were both playing Rogue, right? We were both playing Twisty Blade, Stabby Rogue, and they didn't understand why my Twisting Blades was doing so much more damage. And it was literally because they had come in here and they had picked up like 2 or 3 points in Twisting Blade, and they didn't bother. Okay, so they said, I'm going to take 3 points in Twisting Blade, and then they went down here and started building out this one and never went back, right? So Don's exactly right there. You take your 5 out of 5 points here. Now, you don't have to take it all immediately. It's like your next 5 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because you may get to the content where you have to say, all right, cool, I've got 4 points in this. Maybe I'm going to take this. But my advice on what Don was saying is you take your 1 point there, and then your next 2 levels, right? Or you take 2 points here if you want to, or if you get a free point from a renown, if you're at that point, then you come in and you take this right here. Because on your if you're running Twisting Blades Rogue, that extra 30% damage on the backside when weapons are returning to you, that's almost a one-shot kill on everything in World Tier 1, right? So you get out of here, piercing enemies, you're at 102% damage now, and then you come over here and you get this one right here. And now now as you run away from enemies, I mean, you're just clearing dungeons by stabbing somebody and then doing your shadow step, right, across the zone to an enemy. And then as those blades are coming, they're just murdering everything. See you later. So that's what Don's talking about, right? But you can come down here and so I'll probably do that. I'll come down, grab shadow step just for some movement for dungeon clear. But then I'm coming back up and I'm doing 5 more there. Then I'm going to come down and I'm going to grab this. I'm not personally doing anything in Subterfuge. So then I'm going to spend some time here, 1, 2, whatever it may be, right? Until I can get down here to Shadow. And then I'm going to do that, right? Anyway.
Into Rend, because this is where most of my damage
I'm posting a video here in a second.
Rallying Cry is
my
nice
YouTube.
because this helps me generate more resources.
On what I did last night
quicker.
with what I'm going to do with my rogue.
Empowers Rend, but it's not doing more damage for me. If I pick up Challenging Shout, I'm not doing more damage. If I pick up all these other skills, I'm not doing more damage. You want to make sure whatever your main skill is leveled up as high as you can possibly get it.
Great.
And yeah, there's no benefit to leaving it at 4 out of 5. Getting plus rank to skills will just push this higher than 5. In fact, according to the devs, the highest rank that you can get a skill is 18 with all the different things that you can get on gear. So yeah, just push it up to 5. You're getting more damage on the base of your skill.
Right.
Very important.
And that's huge for like guys. And I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, there's a bunch of casuals coming into Diablo for the first time. Help them out, man. They don't know. Like my buddy down the street, if you go watch the build video over that we went through last night where I was talking rogue with him, he doesn't know. There's so many people coming into this game that we can grow our community in an exponentially cool way. Like a really cool way. Why not do it? I understand there's a bunch of casual features in the game, right? That's fine. You let them go be casual. There's the systems for them, and we're going to be in the end game in the hardcore. I'll be on the fields of hatred, murdering everybody, but I mean, that's beyond the point.
You want to make sure that when you're leveling up, that you're not putting legendary powers on your weapons.
Agree,
Now,
100%.
there's one exception for this. If you're a barbarian or a rogue, you can kind of get away with this a little bit. But generally how the power curve in this game works is as you are leveling up, you get all your skill points into your main skill, and then slowly but surely you're on a ramp downwards. And the thing that kind of counters out this ramp downwards is getting a new weapon. But that always ramps back down as mobs level up. So you want to keep replacing your weapon as you go.
Yep.
And so if you have a like 400 item level weapon and you find one that's 500 item level, obviously it's going to be a big damage increase. You want to upgrade that. If you have the legendary power that's like your core, like I need this for my build to function on your weapon, then it's going to become very difficult to replace that, even if it's coming from the Codex of Power, because there is a cost associated with putting stuff on your weapons. So we can see here in the recipes that imbuing a legendary weapon costs 2 veiled crystals and then 50 times the item power of the item gold. And this is just like if you're imbuing something off of a drop. However, if you go here, we can see COP, which I think is Codex of Power. We can see imbuing legendary weapon suddenly costs Baleful Fragment, which is something that you salvage from legendary weapons. So it's way more unlikely that you will be able to apply.
So, but here's the thing I don't agree with here, and we don't know yet, and I think I may be wrong here, which you guys feel free to correct me on, is if you turn something into a legendary weapon by applying a Codex of Power to it, you don't lose the Codex of Power. So if you go get an aspect from a dungeon, you have that permanently. So if you put that on a rare, that rare becomes a legendary, right? So now, if you get a new weapon and you break that legendary down, I can't remember, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you get the Baleful Fragment for breaking your legendary down that you made into a legendary, right? So I don't think Baleful Fragments are gonna be super hard to come by. I might be wrong though.
Lots of legendary powers to all of our weapons. Now, if you're a barbarian or a rogue, you have weapons that you probably aren't using for your build. So barbarians, if you're doing like a rend build, you're not using your two-handed bludgeoning weapon, you can safely slap a legendary power on there and just use it as a stat stick for a long time. And same thing with rogues. If you're playing melee, you can just slap legendary power on your bow. But if you're not doing that, I'd highly recommend putting any sort of offensive power either on your amulet or gloves. And especially if you're going to use any sort of resource affix on your rings, leave those open for that. And so you want to always leave your weapon open to upgrade, because it's just going to give you the most power.
Sound
Even
advice.
if you have like a really great power, like the splintering aspect for necromancers, the bone spear, I don't think that you put this on your weapon either. It would just be holding you back from replacing your weapon all the time. So yeah, definitely do that. And then the next one I would recommend is don't rely on any legendary power that's not on the Codex. And so if you're here on the Lothric site, I'll put this in the description below, or any of the sites, it says location, dry steppes. This means that this is on the Codex, and you can go and run a dungeon and have this power guaranteed to be able to just get applied to your items. And that means that you can 100% have this in your build.
So just real quick, what does he mean by that for guys and gals that are new to Diablo 4, right? So in Diablo 4, there's a system, the Codex of Power. Okay, so you can go and run a dungeon and you get an affix that you can get to put on your armor, your weapons, and stuff like that. It's a legendary power, right? So it's a unique ability that goes on the weapon, goes on your armor, that gives enhance. So Twisting Blades is a good example, right? Where there's an affix called Blade Dancer's Aspect that when Twisting Blades return, the blades then orbit around me for a bit on Rogue. Okay? So all types of different ones and stuff like that. If you go and get one of these affixes from a dungeon, you have it in your power all the time. Now, You can find a legendary where you don't have, let's say you don't have the power from an affix, and you can pull it off the weapon and it goes into a slot in your inventory. But the second that you apply it from your inventory, that's it. So if you put that aspect on something from your inventory, you lose it. If you go run the dungeon and you have it in your Codex of Power, any item you have, you can always infinitely apply it over and over again.
On the other hand, if you have something like this, the Osseous Gale aspect, you probably don't want to use this anyways, but if you get this, the only way you can get this is as a drop.
Right.
So you have to get completely lucky to get this. Now, there are some really strong drop-only powers. For example, like for the Bone Spear build, if you can go and get Aspect of Exposed Flesh, this is amazing for Bone Spear. Absolutely cracked. Will probably be something you just take all the way up until you can replace it with something else that's exactly the same. But relying on this for your leveling build is probably a very bad idea because you will not be able to guarantee it at all.
Yep.
And legendary
so again,
rates,
guys, don't, on your leveling builds, do not base them around aspects that you find on the point Don's making here is do not base your leveling build on aspects that you find. Base your leveling build off of aspects you can get from dungeons, right? So that way you don't have to replace shit. And if you do have to replace it, you're not going to break your build because you can just go, if you've got the resources, and apply an aspect to the new piece of armor.
seem pretty low in the server slam. The next thing up is you need to make sure that you're picking up the herbs and other crafting materials
100%.
as you're running around. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically these little plants here, there's a whole bunch of them on your way to Loreth's house. And so you just go click on them. There's a little drop, and just running near them will pick them up.
Now, I will say, I hope quality of life improvement that comes at some point is we get auto pickup, because I don't really think there's a reason that we should have to go and click on everything to pick it up. I don't mind opening the thing, but like herbs and stuff should just be auto pickup.
You need these Gallovine and Bite Berries, and you need a whole bunch of these like right away because you're going to be using them quite a bit.
Guys, look, if you have not played a game like this before, right? An ARPG, an MMO, whatever it is, pick up the resources, guys. Pick them up. Just pick them up. This is not hard. Just pick them up.
Now, what are you going to be using these for? Upgrading your healing potion and making elixirs. Upgrading your healing potion is pretty straightforward. At certain level breakpoints, you're going to be able to upgrade your healing potion. It increases the flat amount of healing you get. It doesn't increase the percentage healing, but the higher level your potion is, the more likely you're going to live all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see right away that the first one doesn't cost any gold. It does cost a little bit of Gallovine, which you'll be able to get, no problem. The second one, you need 20 total herbs. Now you can convert like Biteberry into Gallovine, I believe, if you need, but this is still quite a bit, especially if you're not picking up anything or doing too many side quests.
Guys, just pick up the herbs. Pick them up. You see them? Pick them up. Because he's going to say it in a second here. I guarantee it, because I've watched a lot of Don's content. Pick it up. You know why? Because guess what? You're going to need a lot of shit by the time you get down here. You're just going to need it. It's just that simple.
We do get some herbs occasionally, but then it's really the next step that's kind of scary.
Yep.
I think that I'm probably personally going to get stuck on this for a little bit.
Why?
Because crushed beast bones are a rare drop from beasts only. And in the server slam, I only managed to get 10 of these across 4 characters to max level with some additional farming. So that's not really a lot. And these only come from killing beasts and animals and were creatures. And so those...
Yeah, but I don't like, there's a lot of stuff going on in this game with content creators like this that we're speculating on things we don't know yet. I don't agree with Don that crushed beast bones are going to be rare. But when we get into like Skosland, where it's all beasts and all were shit, and then we get into the dry steppes, and then we get down into the other areas where there's going to be more beasts than what we saw in Fractured Peaks. We don't know. Right? We don't know what we don't know yet. And we know that there is specific farms for specific things. So it may be that you just have to go run around Scotland for an hour and farm this, and you get 100 of them.
There's really not a ton of enemies like that in the game. And so I only got 10 out of 4 characters. That means I basically got 2.5 per character. Probably wouldn't be able to upgrade my potion for a while and probably be stuck at that point, which is, you know, unfortunate for sure, because the power you get from upgrading your potion is a pretty big deal. So I'd highly recommend you picking up these herbs so you can upgrade your potion. But on top of that, you want to be crafting elixirs, because elixirs are going to give you 5% increased experience as you're running around and doing everything. So this is basically a nice little bump that is practically free as long as you're picking these up. And you want to be crafting the iron barb elixir basically the entire time, because these are the cheapest and they all give you the same experience bonus. Now, some of these give you like dodge or resistance to particular things. Maybe if you're going into like a cold or a lightning dungeon and like you're really struggling, like something in the capstone or something is really wrecking you, you could use one of these resistance potions.
I love that they put the potions back in the game, by the way.
But for the most part, I believe that you are just going to want to spam these iron barbs. This is armor and thorns, I believe. And I put all of these information in the Diablo University Megadoc. I'm probably going to do a video about potions as well, but you're kind of like getting the sneak peek right now.
If you guys don't have access to this, if you don't see the doc, it is, I'll put it down in my, I'll link out to but this build right here, actually, I've just built this one up because it's prettier than Lorthix, but this is probably the best one, just with the way that they lay everything out. Because you've got all of the Codex of Power stuff in here that we know about. It's really simple and crude looking, but it's really nice.
Next up is doing activities in the world map before you have your horse. So we have Fractured Peaks here, and I've like taken this map and cut it down to just like main story quest, dungeons and other things. But going around and collecting all of these altars of Lilith, I think is kind of a bait early on.
Agreed.
These don't really provide you with large bonuses, like maybe 2 strength or something, which is like 0.2% more increased damage additive. It's not very much damage. Now, getting all of them is something eventually I will 100% do. We'll do the entire tour of Sanctuary, picking up all of the altars of Lilith. But it's just not something I'm going to do right away. I probably will wait until World Tier 3. Definitely, like, I wouldn't do any altar of Lilith hunting until I have my horse, which you probably will get either at the end of Act 2 or in Act 3, because they said something about a quest for Donna's favor. When it's time for you to get them out, it'll probably just be in your quest log as one of those like important quests, like the ones for like upgrading your gear or upgrading gems or upgrading your potion. It'll probably be like obtain your mount or something like that. Just keep your eye out for that all the time, especially after you complete the like Act 2 or Act 3 story. I'd assume that's probably when it's going to be. Might be as far as Act 4. Hopefully not. Like, I want to get into this horse action because it looks a lot of fun, and also I want to show off my Ashava trophy.
Yeah, buddy.
And yeah, that's pretty much my top tips for things to avoid while leveling in Diablo 4. I'm really looking forward to blasting it out with Barbarian.
It was good. I agree with Don on that.